Welcome back to the YouTube channel. So in this video we are going to do a Pandora Box 9 Arcade1up mod. So for the people thinking to buy a Pandora box or you want to do a modification in your Arcade1up. So in this video we're going to take a close look at the Pandora Box number 9. What are we going to get with this main board? And yeah, is this worth upgrading with our Arcade1up? Yeah, I think it's an upgrade because we're having more games. But the Pandora Box 9, yeah, let's talk about it a little bit before we're going to build it in. So the Pandora Box 9 is basically an upgraded Pandora Box 5. So they did improve the games list, or better said, they just smacked a lot of double games on it. So if I'm saying it correctly, around the 1500 different versions. If you look at the connections, there are not a lot of different versions out there, basically 2 versions, but it doesn't matter because we're going to build it in the Arcade1up. What we're going to test out is one thing: can I use my light up feature with this Pandora box, because I am grabbing the voltage from the USB connection. So when you're buying a Pandora box, it's very smart that you're going to buy the original cable 3 with it. So when you're seeing this thing on AliExpress, I will leave a link in the description if you want to search for it. I recommend buy a cable 3, otherwise you have a problem because you can't use the USB connections with encoders. That is something I already know, so just want to tell you. So with the Pandora Box 9 we are limited to the original cable 3. It's not a very big issue. Yeah, it seems to be this seller gave me even an LED strip that I'm not going to use, but everything that you're going to need is in this kit, even including for the sound and for on and off. What I just basically did with the on and off switch, and you can see it over here, I used a little old school EDA jumper. You can use the original cable, plug it in and solder it to 2 wires. It's all what you want. You also have a little button that you can order separately. It's more like your own personal adventure. Alright, so let's grab ourselves an Arcade1up and let's build it in. And I'm going to show you what are we going to do. Alright, so I am using the Street Fighter cabinet simply because I'm having a SIG button. And also want to point out there is nothing else to buy here. So the first thing that you can do, and what I recommend when you're having the first generation, just remove the buttons, simply because these things are quite horrible and will ruin the arcade experience for you. So the original buttons need to be removed, including encoder board. And if you want to buy some buttons, it's all up to you. You can buy original Senwa, you can buy, for example, the Haki I have reviewed. It's a very nice brand that comes close to the Senwa and even has some light up. But a light up feature is something we need to check out if I can get it powered on through the USB connection, because that is not always possible with the Pandora box. Alright, so let's assemble it and let's see. Keep in mind that you can buy the buttons that you need to screw with a nut to lock them, or you're going to have a click connection. I'm not a big fan of the click connection. Just tighten up the buttons, do it very good. Of course, be very gentle, but still they will fit perfectly. So you will need some extra holes for the other buttons with the Pandora box. You can do a couple of things. You can drill some extra holes, but I recommend just remove the on and off switch and the volume. That's the little bit annoying part is you cannot use original holes, but you need to make them a little bit bigger, and then you can use the smaller buttons. So we have all the buttons we're going to need for the Pandora box. We are going to need to replace the monitor PCB boards, so also removing the original game. This is what we're going to need to hook it up. You're going to need to remove this cap. It also includes the main board and the inside. We're not going to need it. We can remove the EDA cable. Then we are going to remove the power cable. I recommend you pull it out, the original PCB board, and put it straight into the original converter board, or the converter board. This is what you're not going to need anymore. And now here I give you a little idea how you can put it in position with a few Parkers, or just use dual-sided tape. Keep in mind, I'm not a big fan of it. Alright, so the next part, when we having removed all the original buttons and we have added the new ones, we're going to need to control them. And a lot of people were requesting this simply because they didn't understand. And it is quite simple. For the people who are familiar with the GPIO port of the Raspberry Pi, the Pandora box has a little bit of a similar thing. We are having here at the right the EDA connection that looks really like an old school EDA. That's the reason I'm calling it like this. But it is quite easy using this. That is the reason why I told you that you need to buy the original cable 3 for the $8.9 or what is it, $12. I don't know exactly the amount, but that makes this really plug and play, because you're going to need this original cable. You're going to plug this end into the Pandora box. Then we are going to use one of these cables. Simply what you're going to need to do, if you don't know or you don't have any manual, it's very simple. You open up the going to open up the EO testing, and what you can see when you're pressing a button and connect it, you can exactly see which button goes where, or better said, where you want to connect it. Easy like that. What you can do is simply grab two wires, the black one and then color, put them together, or grab yourself a button and you can just test which cable is for what. And that brings us to the sound problem, or a lot of people have no clue how to add sound to your Pandora box. It can't get more easier than this, simply because if you're using the original speaker from the Arcade1up, you plug it in the main board and that's it. And if you want to use an amplifier, you can just basically use this jack at the back, including a jack cable. You need to buy it separately because that's in the original kit. And then what you're going to do is you can buy a very cheap China amplifier or something else, or there are different devices out there. I just bought this amp for my other project and that's it. Very cheap and it works just fine. When it comes to the power on and off, simply can use the button like this, but just use an EDA jumper. For the power, I'm using this old school 5 amp 12 volts. It's way heavier than the original one, because I'm going to split the power to one to the monitor and the other one to the Pandora box, and that is something I really like, because everything is 12 volts, so you're only going to use one power supply. But it is one of the options you can do. What I really love about the Pandora box, everything looks so neat and clean, because you don't need a lot of different devices. As you can see, we're only having one cable tree and everything goes through the Pandora box or the converter board. Alright, everything is connected and set up and we're going to do some testing, but I just want to point out, if you want to have light up buttons and you want to use the USB connection that I did in my previous build, that is not possible with the Pandora box 9. It seems to be there is no voltage, so the ports are totally disabled. So keep that in mind. Alright, so for the people who are new to the Pandora box 9, the Pandora box 9 is basically a copy of the Pandora box number 5. So what you're going to get is a gigantic list with a lot of different games, no alphabetic order, and there is no source function. When pressing start with the Pandora boxes, you're getting this option to go to a category, or you can choose, let's say, a game that you're searching for. But that is all not possible. In total, it seems to be having 1500 games, and I can already tell you a lot of double games. Maybe you can see them in the video, but you can see that we're having two versions of the Knights of Vader number 2 and Knight of Vader 2 Dragons. They are basically just hack games. It's not like the old days, in the 90s, that we're having, let's say, double games. They're basically the same game. No, there were always a little bit of tweaking. But in general, it works like a charm. Simply because I've connected the joysticks to the IDE connection on the main board. And that is something I really love doing, because it's very easy. Works like a charm. I'm getting my ass kicked. Alright, so what I want to mention that the box is built in the cabinet. So if you want to adjust the volume, you need to open up the cabinet. That's a little bit of a thing. And if you want to go to the settings to check everything or adjust, let's say you want to remove the filter, you need to open the cabinet. So that little thing that you always need to open the cabinet for. But that's also a little bit of a thing. Yeah, keep in mind you cannot add new games with the Pandora Box 9. And if something doesn't work or there isn't a problem with it, you're just stuck with it. That looks really nice. I don't know exactly the right express ratio, but there's no widescreen. And I must say it looks a little bit better indeed. Alright, all the buttons are mapped correctly for Neo Geo. Alright, this is a great example. We're having the game called Simpsons Bowling. Alright, let's boot it up, let's see what it is. Because I am curious now, is this a game with a hack or is this just basically one big bullshit? I don't see any differences. You can still see the screen tearing in. That is very noticeable. It's just horrible. Alright, so let's give you a little tour in the setting menu. Yo testing. Here we can go and see if all the buttons are working. Alright, let's go back. We can find the combination. Custom button. Simply what you're going to do here is just you can reconfigure everything. But the most annoying thing about it is that it's not only for one single game, it's basically for all the games. System configuration. I just wanted to show you simply because if you look at this here, you can, let's say you can set off the auto exit, for example, if you don't like this. The quality optimization was on. I'm going to put it off now, simply because I just wanted to show you how it is without. And that's it. You can do bookkeeping if it's needed. Save settings and reboot. Alright, so if you look again with the same game, you can see that everything looks a little bit more pixelated. This is like how the original is, or better said was. I read in the comment section that a lot of people don't like the image optimization option. To be honest, I don't care about it. I like them both, and there are even some Pandora boxes having scanline function, for example. But the screen tearing will always be here. I don't see them now, it's not always visible, but in overall it's personally not really bothering me. But again, that is something that is personal. Alright, so the Pandora box number 9. Is this worth building into our Arcade1up? If you can buy this thing for, let's say, not a lot of money, maybe it's an upgrade. It contains mostly two-dimensional games, Arcade Neo Geo. It has some Sega games that I shown you with Street of Rage 2. It's the port from the MegaTek, but the emulator doesn't handle the audio very well. It sounds pretty damn messed up. So it still contains a lot of screen tearing with some games, and that is also a big issue with the Pandora Box 5, 6, 7, and 9, whatsoever. So that is something that you just need to live with these Pandora boxes most of the time. But it looks pretty decent with the filter, without a filter, and even with an original Arcade1up monitor. And now we don't have any stretched image. It fills up the screen. I didn't have any other problems with the menu. It was basically plug and play. Alright, so you can't add games, keep that in mind. And I'm talking about add games, I'm talking about adding the games to the system. You're stuck with a 1500, a lot of double games, for example with the Simpson I did notice this Simpson Bowling edition and So far I know or have seen that it's basically the same. Alright, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and it would be cool if you become one of the Wicked family. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and if you subscribe and hit the little bell, I will see you in the next video.